As Mark Twain once said, there's only two types of speakers in the world, the nervous and the liars. And I think that defines the way I think about presentation. Public speaking. Everybody's nervous. Nerves are a good thing. You should have nerves. If you don't have any nerves, you're not going to perform.
So today, Jacey Normand. Jacey, we are pleased that you're working with us now. We first met at Be The Standard. And I noticed how you were hosting, and we needed someone to come in and help us with the clients that we work with, to help them with the videography and the presentation. Do you want to just go into a bit about who is Jacey Normand?
Who is Jacey Normand? I don't know. When you find out, can you tell me? Because I'm still trying to work out who Jacey Normand is. I have had many faces in my career. Started out in television, worked for the BBC for 20 years. And in that time, I hosted lots of different programmes, news and current affairs shows, things like Inside Out Northwest, Northwest Tonight, did things for Crime Watch, daytime television, did lots and lots of different things there.
What was Crime Watch like?
It was great. I did the Crime Watch Road show with Rab Wilding, so a lot of the stuff I did was the roving reporter stuff out in the field, often in Merseyside, because I was covering a lot of the Northwest. Lots of great stories from that season of
was
the
it
Crime
scary?
Watch Road show. Not really, no, because I suppose out in the field a lot of the time what you would be doing would be on a link talking to a detective chief's constable or somebody who was a specialist in a certain type of fraud, whatever that might be. So my job really was, on behalf of the viewers, to find out as much about what had happened in that particular incident or with that particular scam, as a way of catching somebody, bringing somebody to justice, or even just raising the awareness to the general public of something that they may not have realised could happen to them. So there was a lot of work to do on that programme.
Yeah.
I remember it being quite a stressful job because it was on in the early slot. I think it used to come on at 9:15 in the morning. Often the scripts would come through very late at night. There was no auto cue in the field, so that may have changed now, but a lot of the things I had to do were memorising things. And then, one of the most difficult things I often found was the amount of people you would have to interview on a show like that, having to remember all the names. I don't know. Sometimes there was some work that I would do around leaving little notes to myself on my hand so I could look down. Other times I would just memorise things because I had to.
You must have a really good memory.
You would think that. I think you can train your memory to focus in all different kinds of ways. I think it's just a skill that you develop. I think the brain is a muscle. You have to use it all the time in order to exercise it. And I think the more you do that sort of short-term memory work, the better you become at it. I have just had a 3-week holiday, so if I was to have to memorise all that stuff today, I might struggle a little bit more than I would have done if you'd have asked me to do that before I went away. But yeah, I just think a lot of it is practice, really, isn't it? It's that, preparation, practice and performance, which is a lot of the stuff I talk around really when I do public speaker coaching and presentation work now, which is something that I have gone on to develop since leaving the BBC. So that is the new face of Jacey Normand at the moment. So still Jacey the broadcaster. I still love hosting and presenting live events, live television, love all that. It's absolutely something that I'm passionate about. But in this phase of my career, one thing that I've really grown to become incredibly fond of and absolutely love doing is coaching other people to be able to be confident at doing the same sort of work too. Because I know that it is something that a lot of people struggle with because they tell me all the time.
Yeah, well, I struggle with it myself. I've told you about
You would never
that,
know, by the way.
Oh, no, I do. Like, really bad. Really, really bad. So how did you get into all of that? Because you was in the BBC for quite some time.
Yeah, so I was in the BBC for 20 years, and when I left, I was at a bit of a crossroads in my career. And I think when you've done a job for so long and you've become synonymous with an organisation, if I go to events, it was always Jacey Normand, BBC. That was my placemat name. I didn't know who I was anymore. It's almost when you've worked for any big company and then you leave a big company, you have to go through a process where you almost find yourself again, and you have to really connect with the skills that are at the core of whatever that role required. And one thing I had always known when I was in television was that it wasn't something that wanted to define me for my entire career, because, and I'm sure not all women feel like this, but as a woman, I was very conscious that, you know, as we age, and we all age, and there's nothing we can do about that.
You look so young.
Well, thank you. But, you know, I think it is an industry that can be quite brutal to women. And, you know, I am a mother of young daughters, so I didn't want to go down that route of just being defined as always feeling like I had to be one step ahead of the game and look 25 on television, because, you know, I know that that's not going to be possible. I wanted to be able to find something where I didn't have that pressure on me, and still to be able to use the skills that I had as a presenter and meeting people and spending time with people, because I get a lot of energy from working with people. And so the way that the communications consultancy emerged was really a bit of a process. You know, I was asked a lot of times during my career, would I do media training for people? And I always used to roll my eyes and think, what the earth is media training? What does that even mean? You know, because when you're doing the job, you never actually really think about what the mechanics of being a media trainer would look like, or a presentation coach.
And what does that involve?
Well, I'd never even heard about all this stuff until I left the BBC. But I guess what it involves is working out at the heart of those roles, what is it that makes somebody good at that job? What makes you good at answering questions on camera? What makes you good at talking to a live audience? How do you develop the skills, the confidence and the competencies to be able to connect to individuals or large groups of people? And actually, I did spend some time doing a little bit of soul searching, looking at all the skills that I had. And I realised that without knowing that I had those skills, that was something that I had in spades from working at the BBC. It's something that I'd done for 20 years, but I'd never defined it as a thing. But I realised I could define it as a thing. And so out of that grew a communications consultancy. And from that, it just seems to have grown from strength to strength, because as I've become more established in the world of business, I meet people all the time that, you know, say that they need those skills, and I've been able to support them through that. And I think, you know, I've got a lot of satisfaction from that element of my job. For me to coach somebody and then see them standing on a stage at a conference in front of 1,000 people when, you know, they'd struggled to put their hand up in a meeting before that, is massive job satisfaction 100%. For me, because communication skills are absolutely at the heart of everything that anybody needs, whatever job you work in, you know, whatever profession, whatever industry, they transcend all of those things. Being able to be a good communicator is absolutely the essence of being successful in any career. Yeah,
100%. And that's going back to how we first met. I'd literally just been on, I was going on a public speaking course, because I'd suffered through, I went and spoke at an event and I had a panic attack, and it was awful, and I just thought I'd never want to do that. It really knocked my confidence, and then I just decided to go on a course, and then I come to Be The Standard. I seen you speaking and I was just in awe of you. I was like, who is she? And then when I spoke to you, I was like, you were amazing then. You were like, yeah, I do this as a business. I was like, oh my gosh. I felt like the universe had just spoken to us, because I said to Christian, our senior videographer, we have so many clients that come on board with us, and they are nervous on the camera. They're nervous at going speaking at events that we get them into, and everything just clicked, and I thought, oh my God, we need to work with Jacey. And I was saying to Christian, I have met this amazing horse. Do you want to see her? She's brilliant. And the way that you do communicate is just phenomenal. Like, honestly, it's mind-blowing, because I'm like, I wish I were like her.
Oh, well,
it is. And how you make people feel. Like, you're so calming as well, and that shines through.
That's amazing to hear, because they're the sort of things that I don't see, you know. But I just think that being a communicator is about putting people at ease, and that is one thing that should be at the heart of it. And it sometimes, I think we get so self-conscious about how we perform, how we look, what we will look like if we make a mistake, that we really forget that ultimately conversations are circular. You know, this is a conversation between you and me, and it will be a better conversation if we both feel relaxed and comfortable. We will feel more confident, we will do a better job, we will get our message across more effectively by being calmer in our approach and not being so daunted by the whole experience. Because I think sometimes, and I certainly see it with lots of presentation work that I do, that there's this fear of like the us and them, you know, that we're almost, the mask is going to come down and the light will shine on us and it'll all be revealed that we're imposters, and you know, we're really not good enough to be in charge of this business because we are terrible communicators. And that's just not the way that live audiences watch people speak. You know, we're not watching people hoping that they are going to fail. We're watching people because we want to learn something about them. We want to share their story. We want to go on a journey with them. And I think once you sort of have that change in mindset when it comes to being a good communicator, it's absolutely will change the way you think about talking and communicating and getting your message across, really. The act of being a great speaker is not a taking experience. You know, you're not there to get a standing ovation, although if you get one, that would be really lovely. But we're not, you know, I don't know great speakers that go out there and think, you know, I'm really going to get a standing ovation. That's just not the way it is. The best speakers, the top speakers in the world, they go out there to give something back because they know something, they've seen something, they've experienced something that's so unique to them that somebody's invited them to come and share that story. And I think when you have that shift, you know, it's very, very a very different perspective.
100%. Do you ever suffer from like the imposter syndrome and nervous? Like, I've been dying to ask you this. I'm thinking, I wonder if Jacey ever gets them moments.
Always.
Do you?
I'm always an imposter.
Oh my gosh, I'm so shocked. You hide it well.
Everybody, you've got to have a poker face, haven't you?
You have got the best.
I think one thing that TV teaches you to be unflappable in all situations, but really a lot of the time it's a bit like ducks swimming along the pond. You know, they look like they're serenely floating on the water, but sometimes they're like that underneath, because you might have so much information that you have to remember and so much stuff that you have to do, and there can be so many different things that are changing in a live environment that, you know, looking like you are unflappable is part of the job. And I think, you know, I always say at the beginning of my coaching courses, Mark Twain once said, you know, there's only two types of speakers in the world, the nervous and the liars. And I think that defines the way I think about presentation and public speaking. Everybody's nervous. Nerves are a good thing. You should have nerves. If you don't have any nerves, you're not going to perform. Nerves, it's the way we harness nerves and turn them into a positive that is absolutely going to make you a success. Like, I don't know anybody that would do a live television broadcast and not have any nerves at all in the stomach. And it's the same. We need to start seeing nerves not as the fight or flight thing that we do. We need to sort of switch the dial on nerves and think, you know, wow, something exciting is going to happen. I've just watched the Paris Olympics and I've seen reporters ask the same question over and over and over again to every single athlete when they've finished a race or they've finished a competition. They all ask the question, are you nervous? Were you nervous? And all the athletes' answers is the same. They say, no, it's really exciting, because they are taught to turn nerves into something exciting is going to happen. Whereas to the majority of us, you know, when we feel that discomfort that comes with facing large groups of people or standing in front of sometimes small groups of people, we see it as, oh my God, I'm going to make a real mess of this. I'm going to be judged. Everyone's going to think I'm not good enough to do my job. And you know, that same adrenaline kicks in, but for negative reasons. And that's what I want to try and teach people in the sessions that I run, is that, you know, use nerves to enhance performance. Don't let them hamper it.
Yeah, 100%. I think a lot of it boils down to as well comparing yourselves. People will watch other speakers and then they think I'm not as good as them, or it's like going down that route. Because I was a victim of that years ago when I was on social media on my personal. I'm not on now. I'd compare, and then when I first started this agency, I was thinking, who am I to go on LinkedIn and talk like an expert? Look at these that are running for 25 years. And even that, and that weren't even video, Jacey. Do you know? And it's like, I think when we analyse other people, we feel like we're not good enough, we're going to be mocked or anything like that. But it's like, the way that you do deliver your sessions and the way that you relax everyone, I can imagine are just phenomenal.
Well, I think that's one of the things that, I mean, sometimes when people take presentation, public speaker courses, media courses, I think what they think is that it's almost going to be a session about teaching you not to be nervous, or it's going to be some sort of mumbo jumbo hypnotherapy. Not that hypnotherapy is mumbo jumbo, but you know, that I'm going to sort of do that on them, and then they're going to think, oh my goodness, I'm really confident. That's not what the courses are about. They're bespoke, they're tailored to each individual client, each individual business, giving them real life experience of situations that they may face in their industries and overcoming those things. You know, I'm not going to teach you how to do a PowerPoint, but you know, what I am going to do is give you the skills and the confidence and the competencies to be able to be an effective communicator, a good presenter, to get the best out of audiences, to connect to audiences, to put people at ease. And ultimately in doing those things, you will become calmer yourself. And I think that's another of it. You have to be open to, you know, there's no point taking a presentation course and then not doing any presentation or any public speaking. You're just wasting your money. Like, you have to do a course, and then you have to identify all the opportunities in the next 6 to 12 months where you're going to put those skills into practice. And then we can pick them up afterwards if that's necessary and see how people are doing. You know, so it doesn't have to end with a course, does it? You know, like, we can still do the consultancy.
I would just, we're going to say, is it an ongoing process?
Yeah, it can be for some people. Some people, it depends what level of support people need. For some people, a course is enough. You know, they feel they might be already quite experienced and just need a bit of confidence, and they might get that from one of the workshops that I run. But for other people, you know, it's a work in process. They might be travelling through a fast track where they're becoming, you know, senior leaders within an organisation, and those communication skills are absolutely essential, and they might look like many different things throughout that career and throughout that 12-month period. And so, you know, that could be very much individualistic based on what they had to do and the type of work that they were required to do in their industry as well, which is quite different. But ultimately the principles are the same. It doesn't matter whether you work in finance, tech, banking, you know, PR, whatever industry you're in, those skills are very similar.
I think them skills should be to all key executives within a company. The reason that we did partner with you is because of, as I was saying, we do have a lot of clients that are nervous, that have presentations coming up, or are speaking on camera. And I believe that, like, because this is why I put myself on a course, because I believe key executives within a company should have that confidence. And you know what? Not everybody has. Because I didn't after I had that panic attack. I was a nervous wreck. Like, and I didn't want to do it again, but I knew for us to grow as a company, I've got to do that.
I know, and that would have been the worst thing, to have never done it again. And that's what we want to avoid, is that quite often, you know, I think I saw a statistic a while ago that said 65% of the world's population will experience a fear of public speaking at some point in their careers, and 10% of that 65% of the world will never do it.
Really?
Because something's happened that's so horrific that they just cannot put themselves back in that situation. And it is an actual phobia, you know, it has got its own...
I was shaking. I went sweaty on the neck, right, and I just, like, I felt like I was going to faint. It was. I just had, and my mouth went dry, and I was like, ooh. Like, I finished it, I delivered it, but I wanted to run. Like, I just thought...
Fight or flight, just get out of there. You just did not want to complete that. No, but I mean, the thing is as well that you probably had done loads of prep for that as well.
Yeah, I did.
So what was it that got into your head on the day? Was it just when you saw the faces?
I think as soon as I stood up and I got past the mic, I just looked at everyone and I just went, whoom. And I was
the faces.
Yeah, I think it was the faces. And then, you know what else as well, what knocked me off my bounce was, I was having to look at a screen and click, and I'd never done that before. Multitask, yeah. No, I used to think I was a good multitasker. However, trying to look at the screen and think, right, deliver it, and look at everyone within the room, make eye contact with everyone. So I felt like I was engaging with everyone. I couldn't do the two, and it was knocking me off the bounce, and I just got lost. And then I turned round and looked at all the faces again. I went dizzy, I felt sick, I thought, I just want to stop.
And all it takes is for one of those slides not to play, and then it throws you off track, and then you suddenly get that thought in your head where you think, oh my God, this is a hot mess. I just don't want to be here. And then your heart starts pounding, the palms are sweaty, the knees are knocking, and before you know it, you just would do anything to get out of there, and you really will let yourself down in that situation. I just wonder, like, how much emphasis people put on the preparation stage before that, you know, like, had you thought about the room you were going to be in, had you thought about the fact you might have to use a clicker, had you thought even about any visualization techniques about what that room might look like, how many people are in there, how you were going to be standing, where you were going to stand, did you have a script, did you need a script, had you gone over it, had you told your brain that information you had prepared at home was going to be transferred into an entirely different environment, because that's a really important part of the mental preparation for presentation work, and it's something that people really underestimate, and they just don't do it. And that's why sometimes, you know, some people will start doing all the lovely prep at home, then they'll get on stage and the first 5 minutes isn't that good, but then they'll recover it and then suddenly it'll get a bit better because their brain has kicked in at that point and thought, oh yeah, that information I had to learn in that different situation needs to be transferred into a totally new situation. And there might be a bit of a disconnect at the beginning, but they'll get into the swing of it. But for some people who haven't gone in that process, maybe not done enough rehearsals at home, enough practice, not the right kind of practice, they will get into that situation and it'll just become overwhelming. And that's what we don't want. And that's what good presentation, for me, good communications coaching should involve, is like not just thinking about you on the day on that stage.
Thinking about the
you
audience.
in the run up to that day on that stage. When do you start that preparation? How are you going to prepare? You know, what is it that you want to say? What's the point of what you're going to say? What's your message? Have you thought about that? Have you structured your speech? You know, have you memorised it? Can you get it all onto cue cards? Can you just work off keywords?
Yes.
There's so much more to it to do it well.
Yeah.
And I think the people that do it really well, you know, they look like they're just winging it and they could just speak about anything. But that's the art form of it. It is an art form. Yeah. And, you know, anybody that tells you that they're winging it is lying.
Yeah, see, you know what? I think, looking back now, if I didn't have the clicker in that, I think I'd have delivered it all right.
You should have ditched the clicker.
Yeah, I should have done. But I got past the clicker, I got past the mic, and my head just went boom. And then I was just like, but because I can go into a room, I can talk about what we do as a company.
You're a real people's person.
Yeah,
so
I'm a social person.
I'm sure you were brilliant.
It just
I'm sure
knocked
it wasn't
me.
as bad as you thought it was.
Jacey,
That's the other thing. Did you watch it back?
No, did I?
Was it filmed?
I do not. No, it wasn't filmed, thank God. But it just wasn't me, and I knew that wasn't me.
Yeah.
And I felt like I come away and I was heartbroken.
But you know what? Fair play to you that in spite of that awful situation for you, that you then put yourself on a course and did something about it. Because I think, you know, a lot of people would have run for the hills and thought, you know,
well, I did for a month or so.
Again. But that's the worst thing you can do. It's almost, you give yourself stage fright and you'll never get back on stage. And it is a performance at the end of the day, you know, and everybody's not there to catch you out. People want you to do a good job, yet somehow in our head, we get so in our own head. I'm so self-conscious about ourselves and it's all about us. And it's not about us, it's about them. It's about audiences.
And it's delivering that message that you want to get across.
I always think that people have a visual image and they have a vocal image. And quite often, you know, if you want to change your visual image, you might go and buy yourself some new clothes, or you might see a photograph of yourself and think, that colour does not suit me, I'll never wear that again. Yeah. But none of us focus on the way that we actually sound. And to be a really good communicator, it's when that visual image and the vocal image come together. They have to combine. You have to talk in simple, succinct sentences with body language that complements everything that you say. But ultimately, you have to think about the visual as well as the vocal. And it's only when we're prepared to work on our communication skills that we'll go from here to here. You know, I always say to people, you can afford to be a bit extra when you're talking in front of large groups of people. You know, I always say to people, if you think of it as a scale of 1 to 10, a normal conversation in the office might be a 3, and that's okay. You know, you just need people to listen to you. You might need to bring people close. But, you know, when you're talking on a larger scale, you have to be at least a 6 or a 7, because that's when people will really start listening to you. 10 might be a bit much. 1's never enough. We'll aim for a 6 or 7 in terms of, you know, the energy and the emphasis and the sort of the performance, I guess, is what I'm saying, because it is a performance.
So since you've started your consultation business, have you been helping people that are struggling with the fear, or is it like, go on, tell us about what you've been up to in regards to this business?
Probably a bit of both, really. Some people I've by giving them the skills that they need has helped them overcome the fear, but it's not. I always say to people, and I don't mean this to be a disservice, but it's not a counselling service. I'm not, you know, there to sort of hold someone's hand and say, I'm really sorry that you went through that. I am really sorry that people have gone through those difficult times, but we're there to work constructively with the skills that people have got and make them really great communicators, because it's something that we all do innately. As human beings, we want to connect with other human beings. You know, we have to be able to connect effectively and, you know, give clear, defined messages. We have to learn to get rid of the ums, the ahs, the you knows, the likes, the repetition. We have to learn to make good eye contact. We have to use our body language, you know, our gestures and our posture. Our body language is 50% as important as the words that come out of our mouths. Believe it or not.
I talk a lot with my hands, and
that's great.
I got told that were really bad.
Depends how much you use them. How much is too much?
I look like I'm raving.
If you use the hands to make a point or to emphasise something, then that's okay.
I am extra, like.
there can be a distraction if it's too much.
Yeah.
You know, if I was like this all the time, I mean, I am a hyperactive person. I actually am. I've always been like that. I never sit still. But it's kind of learning to focus those movements so they complement the things that you're saying. You know, use the walk and the pace and the hand gestures to make an important point. Finish that point and then move to somewhere else and make another point or use another hand gesture. Don't just be like this. Because it is distracting. It's the same as arms and arms and likes. You know, many people don't even realise that they do that until they watch themselves back. But this is a process. You have to watch yourself back. I'll watch this podcast back, and even as a communications consultant, I will say, "Oh God, I didn't like the way I said that."
Watch it back for me as well and give me some.
Of course, yeah, 100%, yeah, 100%. But I don't think you need. I think you are a great communicator,
Do you,
and I would
Jacey?
struggle to believe that you were not great when you delivered that speech.
Well, if you're saying that, then
you'll have that.
You'll see me on stage soon, guys. No, I honestly, even to this day, I still get nervous.
Yeah.
But it's the podcast isn't too bad. As soon as I know that I'm on camera, ask any of the team, I'm like, oh, do I have to? I try to get out of everything this video.
So you would hate talking to a camera, but you're okay this?
When it's to a person or a room of people, Jacey, I'm absolutely fine.
Yeah.
As soon as I see a red light on the camera, I'm like, ooh.
So you don't want to work in the news then?
I definitely don't want to go. I don't think there's one way.
You might do. There could be a real niche for that. No, I do get that. I mean, I suppose it's because suddenly it's like I use cameras in my training. Obviously, some of the stuff we do with Christian as well here. But I also am about to launch a business called Pipe Up Media, and that is working with people in leadership positions and lots of people that work in sporting backgrounds, elite athletes, but people that want to get into the boardroom when it comes to executive level sport, giving them those communication skills to take their career to the next level. And you know, and I think it's essential to work with cameras, even in presentation coaching, because what you've just described there is what I want to create in those sessions. Jeopardy, nerves. You know, standing in a room with if we came in here and did a workshop with your team, they'd all feel a bit nervous about talking in front of each other and doing a stand-up presentation and doing the task that I would set them on that workshop. But you put the camera there and it really does create a bit more jeopardy because it gives you that laser focus of, this is being recorded.
Yes.
You know, this is being recorded and I will see this back. You know, this isn't just me doing a course with my friends or colleagues at work. This is being recorded and we will be watching it, you know. And actually you need to have that. You need to have that to keep you on your toes and to enhance your performance, because one, it's visual feedback. You can see yourself on camera, which is a magnifying glass. You know, you will see things that you didn't even know that you did with your body language and gestures, words that you use that you weren't even aware that you use. And so I think in order to improve, you need that visual feedback, but also you need a bit of tension on those days. You need to feel that discomfort of coming out of your comfort zone. We talk about it all the time at Be The Standard. We talk about it all the time in business. But you have to be out of your comfort zone in order to grow. That's where the growth happens for me, whatever it is that you're trying to get better at.
And do you find that people are more nervous going speaking to people or on camera?
It really varies. It's a really interesting question because some people I coach are more nervous about the conversation they have with a boss at their water cooler than they are in speaking up in front of a large room of people and updating them on what their targets or figures are for that month. Whereas other people, it's people often you wouldn't even expect. You'd think they were really good at it, just hate having to stand up and speak in front of people. I think anybody, and we said it earlier, I do think anybody that says they don't have any nerves is not being completely truthful. Because it's not, it's a manufactured artificial environment, isn't it, to talk in front of a large group of people. One-on-one conversation is easier because we feel more comfortable with that. There's more variable factors the bigger the group, you know. We don't know, there's more opinions out there. We don't know what people will think of us.
Especially when you're putting yourselves out on video, on social media and things.
And that is a really different skill as well, I think. You know, like I think
it's awful.
People putting things out now on Instagram and social media, everybody who does it, everybody now talks to cameras, don't they? But to talk to a camera and still connect to an audience is very different.
Yes,
you know, anyone can speak to a camera, but can people listen who are watching that back?
Because you've got to
really
capture the retention and you've got to communicate, you've got to work the room.
Yeah, exactly. It's just on a much bigger scale and it's much more invisible.
I think I would honestly prefer to go and speak to people face to face because I know that I've got two-way communication.
Because you can read people.
Yeah, and then it's like you can mould yourself into trying to get them to engage with you.
Yeah.
When I'm just speaking to camera and I'm just looking at myself, I'm thinking, I'm stuttering and everything.
Yeah.
Do you find it nerve-wracking speaking to camera?
I did write, when I first started working in TV, I did find that a really strange thing to get my head around. Certainly, I used to do the late news on North West Tonight, the 10:28 news, and there would just be myself and a director in the studio at night, and I couldn't get my head around the fact that as soon as that red light went on, it was going out to hundreds of thousands of people all over the north of England. And actually, you know, people would then text you afterwards and go, "Oh, I've seen you on the news." And that was a bit weird, actually, because for us it felt like we were just in a news studio with one other person, but actually it was so strange to think that the reach of that programme. But I think if you thought of it in that way, you wouldn't be able to do it. It'd be too daunting.
Yeah.
And I always think you've still, no matter how big the audience, a conversation is still a conversation with one person. We all receive information individualistically, don't we? You know, whether you're talking to one person or 500 people, they are all listening on their own. So instead of thinking about 500,000 people, let's just think about that one person that's watching the news in the living room, at home, from the sofa. Or let's just think of a couple of the people in the audience that we've already made contact with on the day, and let's think about getting that message across to them.
I love that.
And I think that's much easier and more comforting than thinking, oh my goodness, everybody is watching this. Because when you do that, that's too much responsibility, and that's very, very stressful.
I think we always think of the worst case scenario with anything, don't we? And we always think everyone is thinking that same thing. And I think that's when you get into your negative thought process, it's just, it's like a domino effect. Yeah. And then you're down the rabbit hole and you're thinking every single worst thing, you're thinking they're judging me on this, they're judging me on that, I'm sweating, I'm stuttering. Yeah. And it's just like, oh God.
Yeah, and fear is a liar. A lot of the time those things are not real things, are they?
No,
things that we have created,
up.
Our own insecurities getting the better of us, instead of trying to dampen them down and shut down that noise a little bit. Because as soon as you get those noises in your head, they're a distraction from what you actually want to say, and they're going to stop you and do you a disservice and mean that you don't perform at the level that you deserve to perform at. Yeah. And we can't let that happen. You know, at the end of the day, nobody's trying to catch you out. People want to learn, people want to hear your story, they want you to share that story, and you know, that's what it's all about, is making connections with other human beings, whether that's en masse or whether that's just in a room with a handful of people. It's all about making connections with other human beings.
It is 100%. And so you're working with us now, closer with Christian going forward. Do you want to tell everyone what services you're doing in the workshops?
Well, very excited to announce that we're going to be doing one-to-one coaching, individualistic coaching for all the clients, whether they want media skills support, you know, whether you're trying to promote your brand and get better on camera, or whether you want to be on TV media more, so therefore you need experience of doing television interviews or talking to camera. We're doing all that sort of thing on a one-to-one level, as well as, you know, very bespoke coaching for senior leaders that want to do presentation work and really give that side of their career a boost. But we're also running workshops as well for public speaking and media skills. Some of them are more intense than others, like crisis media is if you're working for an organisation that is likely to be at the centre of a media storm and you want to support your team throughout that process, we can create a whole workshop around that. And equally, we can also support all of your team if you want people to start doing a lot more public speaking and presentation and singing about your business, talking about it, whether that's on socials, whether that's at events, or whether that's really within the business itself. Because, you know, often we think about public speaking as if we're going to stand up at a conference and speak, but quite often, you know, that might just be standing up and updating your own team in a very effective way about what your progress is within that business. So the coaching is far and wide, really. You know, it ranges from presentation, public speaker workshops, all can be done on a one-on-one basis, and also media skills, which can be crisis media as well as one-to-one media coaching for very senior leaders who are likely to be the person that would be put on camera if their business was at the eye of the storm.
Yeah, I've been really excited since we had the discussion that we were going to partner up. I've been like, the clients will benefit from it. Yeah. And in this day and age now, there's people all over social media. It's the way of communication, and key executives especially. We work a lot with directors who should be pushing from the front line. Some are so nervous to speak on camera, and then as soon as we partnered up with you, I was like, yes, they've got the help now.
Yeah, support.
They've got the help, and then even like the workshops that you're going to be hosting every quarter, they're going to be really good for teams to come in. I mean, there's going to be lots.
So exciting. It is really exciting. And I think what's really satisfying for me is I feel like it's using all the skills that I've developed in my career in broadcasting, but in a way that is actually benefiting people in their own careers and helping them to progress throughout their own careers, because we all know that great communication skills are essential to being successful in any career.
It's from the minute you meet someone that you need to be able to communicate to them.
Yeah.
It's a bit like sales when you think of it, because sales is everything. The way that you communicate, the way that you speak to someone, and it's so important, and it's important to deliver the message correctly.
Yeah, and to be remembered.
Yeah.
Why do yourself that disservice of not giving yourself the tools that you need to sing about the great work that you do and not feel nervous, to do it without fear. Let's speak without fear. Because lots of people speak, but to actually speak effectively and get your point across and feel like you're no longer daunted by it or nervous by it is an incredible thing, really. And I'm really excited to sharing people's stories and helping them, supporting them to be able to share those stories with the world.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I know it's absolutely awful, and then if you don't get a grip of it at that point, it's not going to be good. It's not going to be good because it's really hard to perform. See, that's one of the things I do think about working in TV is someone said that to me, that that feeling when you've done a live news program and then you go when it's finished and you come off air, it's a real high for you, because it's all about overcoming those nerves and doing something positive as a result of them. It's all about overcoming nerves. Feeling like you've actually done a good job and you've overcome those things is a powerful feeling, right?
Yeah.
And I think that there is a real kick from that as well, and a lot of people might think it's a bit of a sick kick. But, it is about overcoming nerves, isn't it?
Yeah. I think, we're going to get you in as well to do training with the full team.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to get going with this now, because I think it's going to benefit so many people, and people underestimate how much it is actually needed within business now. In
companies. And it's funny, I don't know if you're filming this now, but one of the things that we always focus on as well is people in senior leadership. But actually, somebody said to me, and it was at a Be The Standard event, about how all young people now don't have those skills. A lot of young people, because everything's done on WhatsApp and everything's done on email and everything's done on the phone, they don't have those face-to-face communication skills, and I am passionate that we do not lose them.
No,
we cannot lose them.
You can't, because how can you go and speak to someone?
So it's not just more senior people, there's also a lot of younger people that don't have them either. Don't get me wrong, there's many young people that are also excellent at it. But, we can, as a society, get to a point where we lose that connection, that face-to-face connection, that ability to stand up and talk in front of people, that ability to, command authority and, rule organisations and get messages across, be empathic leaders that people want and aspire to work with, and be we can't lose all of that as a society. And communication skills are at the forefront of that. Being a great communicator means no more awkward moments, those sort of awkward conversations people have when they try to break the ice, no more ums, ahs, likes. Let's get rid of those. Let's speak with clarity, and allowing people to remember what we say as well.
There's so many people that are brilliant at their roles, but they're too scared to go and speak up and to show themselves to the world and just be communicating to an audience. And they sit on a board level, some people that I meet, and they're just so nervous, but they're absolutely amazing at what they do. And it's going back to when we partnered with you, they were the people that I thought about, and I thought, we can help these people now speak and deliver the key messages that they want to get across to the people that they want to speak to. Deliver the presentations that they want, but also be confident enough to speak on the camera and to deliver the messages that way as well. And there were no one better than you.
Well, that is amazing. I love it. I hope so. Well, I'm very excited to work with you guys, and I'm really, really looking forward to getting going. And I just think it's just a great opportunity to enable lots of your clients to feel more confident in the communications arena. So thank you for asking me to be part of it.
Thank you. So we are going to be hosting quarterly.
Yes, very exciting. That would be good. Yeah, so we're going to do some. So obviously we'll do the workshop. Should talk about the course again.
Yes.
So the kind of courses that we're going to be running are bespoke, tailored courses for all of your clients, whether they want to do more TV media work or want to perform more effectively on social media. You can give them all the skills and competencies that they need to do that. For some organisations, they'll have businesses that might find themselves at the eye of a media storm. So we've got crisis media workshops that we run for groups of people and also on a one-to-one basis. Especially, you know, there are real opportunities to shine when your organisation's under the microscope. So we must not lose the opportunities to communicate those messages effectively. And there are also other courses which are presentation, public speaker courses, which are aimed at allowing people to be more effective communicators in front of audiences, how to connect to audiences, how to get the message across, and, you know, how to speak confidently.
Yeah. I'm really, really excited to get going on this. I think our clients are really excited as well. And then we are going, I said, again then. I'm noticing it now. I've noticed it since you said it. I'm like, I said, delete that out, Jamie. I've done it again. Should we go into so we've said the courses now. Is there anything more that we can elaborate on the courses?
Oh, you were saying about the quarterly ones, weren't you? Yeah, and we're going to be running quarterly sessions as well.
I'm excited for them because it's not just going to be... Some individuals, when they'll come in, I think that they'll be a bit nerve-wracking. If they're doing it as a group, as a company, key executives, I think this is going to be a game changer.
I think the quarterly ones are really exciting, and I'll tell you why, because they don't know the people that are going to do the sessions with them. So if you've got a room of 10 people and they're all from totally different businesses, that will create a real jeopardy. That will mean that they'll walk away with some real skills that they didn't know they had at the end of that day. Because, you know, if you say you've got a bit of a fear of speaking in public and then, you know, you've cracked a session where you've spoken in front of 10 different senior leaders by the end of the day and you've done a really good job, that has got to be a positive thing to take forward with you into your career.
100%. And it's exciting, and that's going to be kicking off this year.
Yeah.
You and Christian.
Yes. Ooh. So I hope nobody's afraid of the cameras, because we will be bringing those as well. There is no point bringing somebody in with a television background without bringing in TV cameras. Can't work without a TV crew, Whitney. You know this.
And hopefully they can use it themselves at the end of it.
Yeah, absolutely, because you can use it for your own personal branding. Some people, they will perform so exquisitely that it will be on their website, it'll be on their socials, and it'll be part of their story, which is really, really exciting.
Oh, I am so excited to get going. Honestly, I've been nervous.
Really
I have actually been nervous speaking to Jacey. I'm thinking she's the expert here, and I'm
Somebody
just like
said that to me the other
peasant here.
I'm a fan on every podcast you're on.
Was it all
You were
right,
brilliant.
Jacey?
You were brilliant.
Really?
I loved it. It was really good. It was a great conversation.
flowed.
Very natural, very flowy conversation. And I intentionally didn't ask what you're going to ask me about, because I hate that. I like it to be less rehearsed and more natural.
Actually, you know what I do want to do for Jacey as well is I'm just going to say, right, so what's next for Jacey? What's your business called?
Pipe Up Media.
Right, Pipe Up Media. I'm just going to say, so Jacey, what else have you got in store? Just so we can end it on that, because Jacey will use some of this content for herself.
Okay.
Yep. So Pipe Up Media.
Yes.
That's what you're focusing on now as well?
Yes, very excited.
What have you got going on with them?
So I am launching Pipe Up Media in September with Jamie Jones-Buchanan, who you know from Be The Standard, the Leeds Rhino rugby legend. He has also got Ram Films, so I'm in collaboration with Ram Films,
Ram
who I think you've worked with Ram Films as well.
We did. We worked with them with Mike Bates.
Yeah.
They're
brilliant. Incredible. So
phenomenal.
Jamie and I are going to be focusing primarily on the area of sport and elite sport. So we want to support elite sportsmen and women into the next phase of their career. You know, many people who have been professional athletes go into careers in television, or they go onto a circuit where they've got to be great speakers, or they might need to make a transition into executive level sport, which might involve them being on a board. So we are supporting people from all areas of sport and all different aspects of sport to become really effective communicators. So I'm really excited about Pipe Up, and as well as doing that, we're also going to be working with senior leaders from a whole multitude of different businesses to do the same. And we really want to release people's storytelling power, as well as not just enable them to be great presenters, to be good media performers, because that's a huge part of it. Yeah. But we're really, really excited to help people to develop their storytelling skills as well, because storytelling, it's the way human beings connect to one another, and that is what Pipe Up is all about. Telling stories in business, helping sports people to tell their stories, and giving them the skills and competencies to do those things.
Oh, so you're up to some really exciting things. You're a
busy
woman.
Watch this space. I'm a very busy woman, I know. Still
you
juggling
work on
2 children and everything else.
And you do Be the Standard. That's
And
how
Be
we
the
met.
Standard. Be the Standard is one of my favourite things
Oh,
I
it's
have ever done.
mine.
I mean, literally, I love Be the Standard. It has changed my life. It's an
Same.
amazing group. It is an incredible, incredible group. It started by Kev Sinfield and Paul Cheetham, and Jamie and myself have been involved since the beginning of Be the Standard. It is an incredible group, a small group of people, and an elite, exclusive, invitation-only group of like-minded individuals every month coming together to fast-track our leadership skills. And ultimately, it's all about becoming better leaders. And we learn from the best in business and sport. I mean, you have seen some of the speakers we have had at Be the Standard. It's just remarkable. And the things that we take from that into our everyday life. I was laughing the other day because before I went on holiday, I purchased some new running shoes. And the trainers that I chose were the result of a conversation that I had with Paula Radcliffe and Kev Sinfield.
Oh, wow.
And then the food I made in the run up to my holiday was from Ella Mills's cookbook, who had also interviewed as part of Be the Standard. It's just amazing the access to speakers that we've had. I mean, you know, Sugar Ray Leonard's been in there. We've had people like Gary Neville. We've had Karen Brady. We've had Alistair Campbell. You know, we have had some remarkable people in that room. So we've had access to some of the most incredible learning. And I'm just so excited by it. I literally, my face lights up whenever I speak about Be the Standard because it's changed my life.
Yeah. Well, I got invited by Carl, who works at Sedulo.
Yeah.
And I just went one day, and it was honestly, I believe that things happen and you get put onto a path that's needed for you at the right moment. And I went in that day, I come to the session, and it changed my life, and that's when I signed up.
Yeah.
I needed to go into that room with them people that day, listen to them stories, and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
It just changed my life, and then since then I've just been addicted.
And also, I think the jewel in the crown about Be the Standard is the diversity of all the leaders in that room. So, you know, on the one hand, you get these amazing speakers that you get access to all of their learning and all their life experience. But sometimes some of the biggest self-development, I think, happens in the surgeries that we have.
Surgery, that's what's changed it for me.
It really does. And the network that people have formed where they can ask questions to people from whole different ranges of businesses that they wouldn't necessarily have known without that group.
It's
and
helped
it's
me
a
so
really
much.
great group. You know, all the people in there. When I was at the BBC, I met lots of people, but I've met so many people at Be the Standard that I really have looked up to, and they have changed my life. So, you know, it's 100%. Remarkable for me.
I've learned so much in them surgery rooms. It's untrue, because I'm asking other people, other business owners that have so much more experience than me, and it's honestly, it is a game changer.
Oh, that's amazing.
I love Be the Standard.
Well, so many exciting things to look forward to.
I know.
This year.
Yes, I can't wait for it.
I know, our retreat.
Yes, and we've got Mike Bates.
Mike Bates.
He's doing our goal setting.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh wow,
you've not seen the
Mike.
itinerary,
He's
have you yet?
amazing. No,
I'm just
we're gonna have
spoiling
a look too. So lots to look forward to.
Thank you for coming on, Jacey.
You're very welcome. Thank you for asking me. I look forward to it.